Amazing. So we are live. We're on our very first live.
Awesome. How exciting.
Yeah.
You're here talking about relationships.
Yeah. By the way, we're your hosts. I'm Zahra.
Yeah, I'm Brian. You might know me from Golden Pathways Shadow Coaching.
Yeah, and I have my own channel, Wellness with Zahra, but today we're going to be working together to talk about our own expertise, but also our personal experience in relationships and why it's important to talk about communication in relationships, which is the title of the stream today.
That's very important. You know, you and I, we've gone through quite a journey with communication, haven't we?
Yeah, we sure have.
We definitely are not at the place that we used to be. We've had some major, fights over the years.
We've had some conflicts. Even some people have told us in the past that when they were living with us, that they had some issues with me potentially abusing you, which I thought was a very exaggerated thing to say.
I felt abused. You're very angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beyond angry at that point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we all go through our ups and downs. We all go through our emotions, and that was just where you're at the time. And I was at a place where I was a little bit probably too passive, too accepting. And I need to stand up for myself at that time as well.
Yeah, and I think that's where the polarity comes in relationships, that it's not one-sided, and you can never really say, oh, she's the narcissistic one and she's the abusive one, when the other person's lack of setting boundaries might be reinforcing the other person's abusive behavior. And so It creates an environment where it nurtures the negative aspect of the other person.
Well, that's the thing about relationships, is it's a pure chemistry. It shows you exactly where you're at. It shows you exactly how you relate to other people, what you tolerate, what you don't. And that's why relationships are so powerful. You know, it's the ultimate teacher. And I personally have grown so much from this relationship, like crazy amounts.
Tell me a little bit about some of the growth that you've made.
Okay. Well, I used to be deeply insecure for a start. Like I couldn't go out in public very easily without feeling really nervous. Like if I went to a club, if I went to a social gathering, I'd always be thinking people were looking at me, judging me, and I would never have anything interesting to say. I would never be able to connect to other people very well, and there was just this background fear that I had. But during this relationship, I've just because we've been challenging each other consistently, we've been growing consistently, and that has it's become lovable now. Like I have absolutely passed by that fear like 100 times.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize the relationship actually helped you with your own personal social anxiety issues that you were having.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, if I can face some of the angry nights that you've thrown at me, I can face anything, man.
So basically, I was training you to go out into the world and not feel so scared, because it's the people that are closest to you that is probably the scariest, not the new people that you're meeting.
I think it's more about conversations. We have been doing something very positive in this relationship, and which is bringing up and challenging each other's weak points. And by doing that consistently, it's kind of like we're mirroring to each other. But as we've developed a good communication, we've been able to talk through things and actually deeply explore some of these issues we've been holding and trying to avoid. So yeah, it's been really good for that.
Yeah, so one of the important things about relationships is you're going to have conversations that you're going to want to avoid. It's like, for example, if there is something that annoys you about the other person, that they're always late or something, or they're always a bit, flexible with time than others, you're going to have to talk about it. So Ryan's the type of person, when he says, oh yeah, we'll just go in 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, 5 minutes.
5 minutes means shortly. In my language, that's always been the case.
And so what I hear is, okay, 5 minutes. He said the word 5 deliberately. He could have said 10 if he wanted 10 minutes. He said 5 minutes. So I get myself ready in 5 minutes. And then Tell everyone what happens after that.
5 minutes to me might mean 8 minutes. It might mean 15 minutes, but 5 minutes is just like, yeah, just 5 minutes.
And for years, I would just get so frustrated. I would think, why aren't you ready? Like, what am I going to do? And you said 5 minutes, and then I would start stressing out until one day we actually talked about it. And I asked him, like, what do you actually mean when you say five? Do you actually, because you actually, I'm treating it as 5 minutes. And then I discovered, no, when he says 5 minutes, he doesn't actually mean 5 minutes. So these kinds of conversations you're going to have. You're going to have some topics in your relationship that you're not going to want to address because they're always very stressful. But until you address them, you don't actually know where the other person is coming from because you never even asked them. You never asked them, like, what do you actually mean when you say that? Instead, what I was thinking is I was taking some stuff internally and I was making it about myself, and it was turning into insecurity, like low self-esteem. My mind was just making up its own story because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Well, you've always had a very literalist language, very precise in the way that you speak. You kind of think of things on there when you look at words and language, I suppose, like, because you had to learn English as a second
English
language.
is my second language.
And I think that that's had an impact on the way that you think about the language.
Yeah.
Because maybe in Urdu, the language is very literal, perhaps. Like you say exactly what you mean.
Well, in Urdu, we have a different name for each parent, but we also have a different name for each parent's sibling. So if it's the mother's brother, they'll have a different name than the father's brother. Or if it's the mum's sister, she'll have a different name than the father's sister, and we address them differently. They have different names. Every relational role is like slightly different.
Yeah, so we need that in English because that's awesome. It spun me out when I first heard about that. It's like, okay, cool. That makes sense that each different uncle or auntie would have a different title because they're from different parts of the family.
Immediately you don't have to
Yeah.
say my mother's father's cousin or whatever, because you say the word and instantly the other person knows. And I love that. I love that about language, that you can instantly transfer communication. And you know that too, because I think you like to do this too, where you skip words because you just pretend like.
I make the mistake of assuming that I don't have to say the long form of everything because what I'm saying is incredibly basic, and I just need to just paint the quick picture because you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's like, hey, yeah, let's go to the thing. And you're like, what thing? But we were talking all morning
and
about
how we're
going
going to get there and what time we're going to go
Yeah.
there and what are you going to wear and who else is going to be there and is this really important to you till we go there? Like, I need to know the content.
I'm feeling stressed right now. Just so much detail. You need to know every little detail. That's okay.
Okay, so my language is
Yeah.
about precision. My language is
Yeah.
a little bit more about accuracy and precision and trying to get the full meaning of things without having to super assume that I already know the meaning when I don't.
Well, yeah. So this is something that we had to learn about each other, that we do think and communicate very differently, and in order to make this work really well, we've had to take the time to kind of learn each other's way of expressing, and it's not just male and female, but actually two different types of minds as well. That we have so many similarities, it keeps us strong, but then we had to force ourselves to kind of look at our own weak points and shortnesses and they kind of go, oh right, well, my lack of understanding is causing these conflicts, and so I'm going to have to kind of just step forward here and sort of push myself into new territory in order to have better communication.
The male and female is definitely a thing because you have a very strong feminine side.
And you got a very strong masculine.
And I have a very strong masculine side.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I can understand things from the perspective of just do, and let's just do the thing and, focus on the actions. And then sometimes you're a bit more focused on we have to approach with the right energy, and which is a very feminine kind of thing. It's not about planning. It's more about intuition and all this type of stuff.
That's true. I'm strong in the intuitions.
Yeah, and then so I've had to learn a little bit of that from you, and you've had to learn from me that maybe sometimes I'm not actually being literal, Ryan. Maybe I'm just being like thinking like masculine, where it's about precision, accuracy, and just get things done, and don't give me any other information that I don't need to know. Just tell me what I do need to know, and tell me everything about what I do need to know, and that's it.
I think people have got a pretty good picture now of how this is working for communication. But why is it so important? Obviously, relationships out there, looking at the stats, relationships are kind of, they're breaking apart much quicker. Relationships seem shorter and there's fewer of them. And, birth rates are kind of declining. And that's something we need to be concerned about, because we need lots of beautiful babies out there. We need populations to grow and not go down. So why are relationships not lasting as long these days?
I have an opinion on this. I think it's social media. I think social media, especially to women, and I'm saying this as a woman who's had this kind of algorithm in my social media, is they encourage women to, oh, you got a problem with this person? Well, if you truly are taking care of yourself and you focus on self-care, you just block the toxic person, you just get rid of them from your life, and you just, it's so easy for people to just block the person rather than learn about what is conflict resolution? How can we actually try and work this out instead of, no, he's being toxic, so I'm gonna, no, but how about you recognize your role in the toxicity? Maybe you're promoting the toxicity by being overly paranoid. And then so you're feeding off of each other, but all you see is the other person reacting defensively, but you don't see how you might be actually provoking them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then the internet tells you, hey, block the toxic person. And then you think, oh, yeah, that person is a narcissist. And this is another term, like, I have an issue with because it's been popularized lately. It's like, anyone you don't like, they're a narcissist. And that's just like
irredeemable, just break off, just cut off. And it's kind of like this disposable society. Like we treat each other like bad employees. And then like everyone knows a good boss in a good company will take a bad employee and shape them and turn them into a really good employee because they're a good boss. They know how to work with people. And we're doing that in relationships. We're just casting each other aside.
Yeah.
We're so used to being exiled in this society.
Well, the thing is, you treat the other person like they're replaceable and you have no responsibility. So they don't teach you that you need to take responsibility in relationships. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said about employment, I think that's a very important point to make, because this might be new to you guys, but Ryan and I used to work in the same employment. We worked there for many years. And we thought we had the job security. We thought we had the safety net. And then just one day it was like this.
Yeah, gone.
No communication really.
I was basically running the place.
You get your you get your rosters, and then 1 week you get your roster and your name's not even on there. That's basically what happened to us. We just got cut out of shifts completely.
And I'm sure heaps of you have gone through that as well. It's kind of like, and it hurts. It really does. It feels like I look at everything through the lens of tribalism, right? So everything that we feel and experience is kind of from what's been baked into us over the last few 100,000 years. And so when you get cast out from a job, if you get cast out from a relationship, if you get cast out from a friendship circle, it's like you're being exiled from your tribe. And so you instinctively bring up all your defenses, your fears, your anxieties, because you're now thinking in like a survival mind state. You're not thinking in a thriving mind state like you would inside the tribe. And it brings it all up, and it's really damaging.
Well, why would you? Because the tribal aspect of connectivity and community is not something that's thriving at the moment in real life. I mean, there's some areas it's still thriving. But what I have learned is that some people after COVID, after the lockdowns, they never actually came back. They were forced to go into pretty much self-exile, right?
Yeah.
You isolate yourself, you go into quarantine. And now
they adapted.
They adapted so well that now there's no reason to come out because I've got all my needs met here. I can play my games, I can socialize, I can have my food and everything. And you never have to go out to do anything. So why would you put yourself in the outside of your comfort zone? And so that's what we're seeing. People are not having relationships, or they're not going out dating. And Jordan Peterson actually mentioned something about this. He said, oh, this younger generation, we hear about it and we think, what we've been told is, wow, this generation is the least addicted to alcohol. Have you heard of that fact?
I have. I just read that this morning, actually. Yeah, the young people aren't drinking and they're not having sex either, which is really freaking weird. I mean,
And so we think,
I couldn't imagine being young and going through puberty and not having the instinct to, get with the opposite sex, to be intimate. That was what drove me. So then, what's going on with this?
what's driving them now?
What's happening?
Yeah, and then so we think, oh wow, so positive, they're not drinking, they're not addicted. But guess what? They're addicted to social media instead.
Did the Christians win? That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted young people not to have
Learn
sex
from
and
extremes or
not to
anything.
drink and not to go out and get into trouble. And that's exactly what's happening. But it's very boring, isn't it? There's no life there. There's no passion or ambition.
Well, we were taught about consent. That's what the next generation is all about. Consent. Make sure they consent. And we became hyper fixated on consent. And consent is important. Of course, consent is important, but consent was also implied in the past. There was a lot of non-verbal communication. We were so connected that we would pick each other's signals. We wouldn't have to deliberately, consciously ask, "Do you consent to me putting my penis in your vagina?" Like,
I mean, talk about a freaking. Yeah, that would turn me off. Like, can I put my, can I sit on your penis?
I give you 100% consent.
Like that's just like, that is not romantic at all.
No.
I mean, I understand consent is important, but you got to pick up people's cues. You got to know people. You got to understand people, and it's pretty obvious if the consent's not there. The body language, tone of voice,
Immediately.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, the words that you
Clear as
say,
day.
the things that you talk about. If you're hinting at other things and you can feel the sexual tension, but there's obviously
It's
this
instinct. You know it.
exploration,
Yeah.
there's a desire for exploration.
A lot of guys are getting in trouble right now because the girl has decided that yes, they wanted to, and then later they're like, no, actually, I didn't consent.
Really?
Maybe they had a couple of drinks. Maybe he had a couple of drinks too.
Ah.
Or maybe something can set the stage for that. And then these guys are getting in trouble and they're getting arrested. And it's really scary. Like, so no wonder men are kind of terrified of approaching women now.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
But what can we do? Maybe we can just focus on communication. We can be clear with our communication. And if you earlier gave consent and now you don't, make it clear. Don't just expect the other person to pick it up automatically.
Yeah, well, this is where good communication is definitely key. And not everyone speaks the same language as we've learned of each other. But it's very exciting because, like, when you're able to communicate really well, you're gonna have a long-lasting relationship. It's pretty much certain. Like, as long as you're willing to grow, if you're both looking to grow and you're both looking to deepen your communication, then relationships will probably last 10, 20, 30 years quite easily because there's always more to do.
Yeah. So speaking of long-term relationships, here's another topic that I want to bring up to this slide about communication in relationships. For those of you out there who are who've had several relationships, maybe they failed, quote unquote, or you consider yourself a failure or discarded or anything like that, and maybe now you're looking to put yourself into the dating market again, and you're a bit of an older age. What things I think it'd be important to point out, and you can tell me your perspective of what's the light side and what's the shadow side of all this going on, because there's a lot of people that are just disheartened. They've had too many relationships, one divorce, one marriage, one divorce, another divorce, and they've gone through the cycle, and now they're like, well, there's no good men out there, or I don't have time to have a relationship, or relationship is a lot of work. I'll never find the right person. If you've got that kind of like self-talk going on, what do you see like in terms of shadows with those people? Now you can address from like the male side or the female side. Like, I'd love to know what you think about that.
I'm going to be honest, I kind of tuned out for a second there. I get lost my own thoughts quite a lot. I do have ADD. I don't have ADHD because it'd be more obvious that, oh, yeah, it's just ADHD because he keeps moving around.
I think I might have ADHD.
I just have my mind. I move around a lot in my mind, and I just got kind of lost in a side thought then.
Was it related to this?
Not at all.
This is what I have to to deal with. Do you see?
At least I'm
Do you
honest.
see?
At least I'm honest about it.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Because like
I used to hide this. I used to be deeply ashamed of the fact that my mind would wander sometimes. I used to chastise myself for this, and I would let you have one over me.
I would yell at you. I would get frustrated. I would.
And
And
I'll
I
take
would
it.
get
I'll
insecure.
take you being yelling at me and taking it personally on your end until I realize, oh shit, she's taking it personally on her end because she actually has insecurities.
Insecurities.
Yeah.
I had insecurities with low self-esteem. Oh, my worth is not worth. My words are not worth listening to. My communication is not worth listening to. I'm not worth like having a relationship with, and all these negative things. I was like, he's not interested in me. And I thought maybe I am just as a person uninteresting and boring and not fun to be around. And I had all these insecurities come up, but
Yeah.
all that was going on is your ADD was like, wait, that thought leads me to that thought, and that would be so interesting if I had explored that.
Mm.
And here I'm like, where the fuck did he go?
It's like, I'm just clinging to my precious information grid where I get to explore all these different avenues. This is something that's like uniquely me, and don't you dare take that away from me.
You know what? No, I'm not trying to
I
take
know
it.
you are.
Now I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I don't have, because we communicated. But if you could like just have a pen and paper on you handy, so if you do wander off,
Mm.
you just write it down. I'll explore this later, and then you can come back again. You know what I mean? Or
Okay.
something like.
Doesn't work like that. It's like when you hit the ignition switch on a rocket, it's going to launch, and you're going to enjoy the fireworks of it. You can't just write down and go, oh,
I did
enjoy
not
that
consent
later.
to this. I did not consent to this.
Anyway, I'm back with you now and
Okay.
present.
Okay.
Yes.
So people who have gone through relationships, maybe they're in the middle age,
Yeah.
later in the age,
Yeah.
they've had a divorce, they've had another marriage, another divorce.
Yeah, that's a pretty so super easy for people to get jaded, but the
What's
cool-
the shadows that are going on in that? Like,
Okay, so if you're in a deep relationship with someone and you break up, especially if someone broke up with you, you're gonna carry like patterns from the old relationship. It's gonna be kind of embedded in there. And they might not necessarily be healthy or positive patterns at all. And you're gonna try and relive those in your new relationships. It's something that needs to be resolved because every relationship will be new, and like bringing old patterns in there is going to feel like forcing to the new partner as well. They're going to be like, "What? I have nothing to do with that. Why is that relevant?" So that's one thing.
can I say one thing?
Yeah.
So, if you guys don't know, this is kefir. This is fermented milk, and it's very sour and tangy, like yogurt, but
It's
even
delicious.
more sour and tangy. Now, when we think of relationships, I want to
Sour and tangy. Yeah.
When we think of relationships, there's two parties that are going on, right? I want to use this analogy because yesterday I tried something. I like coffee and I like kefir. And so what I did,
Hey, let's just put bitter and sour together and see how that tastes. Oh my god.
and so I put in some coffee powder in my kefir, and it tasted horrible and it tasted disgusting. And so coffee in itself is not bad, kefir in itself is not bad, but when you put them together, it's not good. And so imagine if the coffee left that relationship and thought, oh, I'm so horrible and bitter. And then kefir left and like, oh, I'm so sour and tangy. And both parties would feel bad about each other. But sometimes it's just that two people coming together, they don't bring out the best in each other. It could be because of your past traumas. It could be because your nature and you're naturally inclined to do that and be that. And if that happens, instead of forcing it and making the coffee kefir again, which I didn't today, I learned my lesson. I'm having kefir separately. Is allow yourself to move away from that relationship where you're both toxic to each other without taking anything internally about something bad about yourself. It doesn't have to be the one party or the other party. It could literally just be the combination just didn't work out.
I just want to interject something here. Those bad relationships that last only a short amount of time and bring out the worst in people are some of the biggest freaking blessings you can possibly imagine. If you always approach these relationships with the path of like this journey of knowing yourself, You know, like in the Matrix, when the Oracle pointed to that sign that was above the kitchen and said, "Know thyself" in Latin. You know, that's it. If you're going into every relationship with that, I'm going to learn more about who I actually am and bring out my real authentic self. And these bad relationships come along and they bring out the worst in you. What a blessing, because that's showing you things that you've been sitting on, that you've been holding inside of you this whole time. And that relationship came along to show you that part of yourself. And you got to understand yourself a bit deeper and have something more to work on.
Yeah, relationships are mirrors.
As horrible as it is. Yeah.
They're mirrors. They really are. And
Yeah, sacred mirrors.
sometimes we're not ready to face that part of ourselves, and we see ourselves projected in the other person, and we're like, well, we would never act like that. And it's like, well, maybe you might be acting like that towards yourself without even realizing it. And then blaming yourself or criticizing yourself, and maybe your inner critic is so loud, but you're too busy blaming your partner. But you're not focusing on your own relationship with yourself. Like, who you surround yourself with is not just people, it's your own self-talk too. And so in relationships, when we talk about communication in relationships, I want to say that the relationship you have with yourself is just as important to maintain and to cultivate a healthy form of, and the relationship you have with other people as well. It's not one or the other. You can't just be like, oh, well, now you have to meet all my needs now. Because I'm in a relationship with you, so you have to be nice to me. You have to take care of me. If I come to you for support, you always have to support me, and all these types of things.
It's like, wow, you need a lot of support. Why don't you feel supported? Like, what in you is so vulnerable that you have trouble with being vulnerable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like vulnerable people, they latch on to anyone who gives them any bit of support, but maybe you've got a giver complex because you can't help but give. And then so you have this dynamic shows up in relationships, the
all the
overgiver,
time. Yeah.
the overgiver and the insecure. Oh man.
All
these
the
are
abusive.
The
The overgiver and the abusive, the narcissist as well. Ooh, that's a freaking tick that buries itself deep as a relationship. It's really
I have come across, so I'm a part of a lot of different narcissistic relationship Facebook groups. So I read everyone's like posts there, and sometimes I help them when I can. But this is the thing I've seen constantly, is that these people, yes, some of them are actually having a relationship with a narcissist, which is
an actual narcissist.
Yes.
is a serious issue.
serious,
Huge.
self-absorbed, no empathy, like does not know how to see from
Most
anybody else.
people tend to have some level of narcissistic traits, especially if they had a hard childhood. You know, so it's easy to think of one little trait and say, "Oh, that means that their entire personality."
Yeah, and they might have to have gone through so much trauma as well. But sometimes what happens is these people who are so vulnerable, okay, you can see it in their language that they use, the way they describe the situation. They constantly say everything to paint themselves as the victim. They do not use any language whatsoever about empowered language. Nothing to do with I made this boundary or I closed the door and I told him and this and I stuck by it. None of these things. It's always about he did this and he did that and he did this and he did that. But you didn't never set the boundaries. You never enforced the boundaries. But you're sitting here complaining about how that person is a narcissist because you're letting that happen to you. And that's where the overgiver is like, oh, I couldn't ever hurt that person because I know what it feels like to be hurt. Well, yeah, so you'd rather hurt yourself by not standing up for yourself and then try to seek support because you're in a narcissistic relationship anyway. And then you're stuck in that cycle. You never want to stand up for yourself because you're the overgiver. And the narcissistic person never gets a feeling of what you're going through because they can't see from somebody else's perspective and you're just stuck. And it's codependency. And some of these relationships I've seen, they'll have children with each other. And it's so tragic. It's so tragic. They'll have 1 child, 2 children, 3, 4 children. And now they're sort of stuck in this co-parenting thing that is going on. And like, we're not parents at the moment, but I listen to these stories and I'm like, that, you know, before things even progress that further, you should have either ended the relationship or changed something where you could find that balance. And so you don't always feel controlled by the other person, you know, and that's what's happened. Sometimes you're so deep in that it's almost like there's no way out.
Whew, that was well said.
I went on a bit of a rant there because I've
This is passionate for you, obviously. This is something that really sets you off.
yeah.
Have you found like people you've had relationships with people in the past that might have had a bit of narcissistic traits to them, might have been a bit controlling or a bit like they used you, you know?
Yeah, I used to think some of my family members were narcissistic, but later I realized is that it's not necessarily narcissism. It's more so being self-absorbed because culture being one of them. That's just the norm, social norms, cultural norms, or they have so much unhealed trauma that they still expect other people to cater to them because they haven't actually addressed that trauma yet, and they need everybody to step on eggshells around them. And so they do this with being the aggressor so they never get attacked. And so they can seem narcissistic on the surface, and they might treat you in that way where you feel controlled, abused, and all this type of stuff. But what's behind that? And that's what I'm able to recognize.
Can people in high stress periods be temporary narcissists?
Well, CEOs, for example, when they have to make a big decision and it results in the loss of jobs of some of their employees,
that could be
being a
sociopathy too.
narcissist.
I mean, that can be sociopathy, which is just simply just disconnecting from the emotional state and taking action, despite like that seems free of moral obligation.
No,
right?
I would say sociopathy is more like, regardless of the consequences, I'll do this anyway. But their thing is like, oh, well, it's for the profit of the business. I'll have to do this, not because for funsies and giggles, like not just to exert my power. It's for a purpose.
Well, that's why a lot of successful people are kind of like what Wilhelm Reich calls the mechanical man. These are human beings that can distance themselves deeply from emotion and operating simply from a like non-connected point of view. And they seem to do really, really well in society because they can do like be the big boss and make hard decisions and not be emotionally involved at all and not give two shits, you know. But they're missing out on the richness of life, and that's a real shame. So they might be rich in money, but they're not. Yeah, are they rich in their life? Are they rich in the experience? Because we're like, it's phenomenal. We've been born here on this planet. We're part of the earth. Like we're like a living extension of the earth itself, and we have the eternal playground, and we're kind of like existence experiencing itself.
Yeah.
You know, and oh man, I just want everyone to get like deep into that because it's so freaking cool. But like, imagine spending your entire life in an office barking orders at people and just having no real deep, meaningful connections with others. It just seems so sad.
It seems very isolating.
Yeah.
It seems very isolating.
It seems like it's just missing the whole purpose and point of life. I understand that we need some people like that to do those kinds of roles, but it's a sad thing. Yeah, I'd rather live like with a little bit less money, a little bit less power, and just be immersed in the beauty of life. I think that's very important to have that balance.
Yeah. Communication in relationships.
Yeah.
So did we address the shadows of those people who...
Some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to say about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trauma that comes up from being rejected and hurt. And people might actually deepen and distance themselves more from it by trying to radically reinvent themselves after a breakup relationship when they get a bit older. And I'm
still doing it.
They try to be like the cool person or the spiritual person or just maybe get more involved in their business or whatever, and they distance themselves emotionally.
Yeah.
And that becomes habit forming. And because of that, when they get into a new relationship, they're not opening up.
It's the hyper-independence.
Yeah.
It's the hyper-independence, like, I'm self-sufficient. I can look after myself. I don't need no man.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of attitude.
I've got a family member like that, actually. She has gone through 3 or 4 marriages and now kind of looks at men, looks at them like they're not really human beings, looks at them more like, what's their function? And treats men like just a functional tool and nothing more, nothing less. They have to meet the criteria And if they don't meet the criteria, I'm not even going to think about opening up my feelings at all to them.
It's like the mechanical, what you were saying.
Yeah,
very
and I think it's a
mechanical.
defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And that can really come up as a shadow.
But what are you defending yourself against? You think that relationships are threatening because you've been abused so many times, or maybe you failed to set the boundaries, maybe you got caught up in relationships that weren't supposed to be for you anyway because you were a bad match, like the coffee and kefir example I just gave. Or maybe you just decided because everyone told you there's no good men out there, so you just decided without even testing the waters, you just prematurely decided there's no good men out there, it's not even worth trying to approach anyone, and just defeated before even trying.
I understand women being a bit more selective than men. I mean, women are truly more vulnerable in relationships. Men, I think, are just as vulnerable in different ways that are easier to deal with. With women, obviously, you could become pregnant. You might be like completely reliant on your male partner.
Well, but in this example, we're specifically addressing older people.
Well, older people can
People
still
who've
have
gone through
children.
many relationships.
The instinct is still there, though. So it still comes into play as a chemistry, as an instinct.
I disagree because from what I've learned is that when the hormones change for women, their instinct completely
It
changes.
depends how old are you talking about.
Yeah, well, like postmenopausal.
That's much older. Okay.
Yeah, I said midlife or even past
okay.
midlife.
Right.
So after that point, yeah, you probably perimenopausal.
Men are still just as fertile often, or can be just as fertile. Yeah, men can have babies all the way up to 60, actually.
Okay.
But women, obviously, that's radically different. Yeah. But there's a lot of silver foxes out there. Watch out, ladies. They
I don't know.
A silver fox is basically a man who is pretty good looking, but he's got grey hair.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a silver fox. You know, he's kept himself in shape.
He's a fox.
Yeah, because like he's kind of like he's got a bit of pizzazz to him. He's got a bit of like I know myself, and that's what so many women are just looking for in men is someone who knows themselves. They're grounded. They're not pretending. They're not wearing masks.
So you got silver fox for men and you got cougars for women.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But women, so that's so interesting because the fox I would not imagine is a very masculine archetype, really.
No, really, no. I suppose not, but fox is kind of like an old 70s term, really.
But
Like it could be applied to women as well. Like she's foxy. She's attractive. She's sleek.
Yeah.
She's like
Males want a bit of attractiveness and sleek too.
Yeah.
Actually, one point I just realized, which is in relation to communication relationships, is the perception of self when it comes to when you're entering a relationship. And if you enter a relationship at any age in your life, and your self-perception is negative, you think you're not attractive, you think you're not worth someone that to be around, you think that you're just a burden and you have too much baggage, for example. If you're going into that relationship to yourself is inevitably going to play out in your relationship that you're going into. Inevitably. Unless you solve that on the individual term first and start seeing yourself as someone worthy, someone worth like being around, someone worth fighting for, someone worth loving, someone worth going the extra mile for. If you're not doing that for yourself, but you expect the other person to, because that's what a partner is and that's their role and they're supposed to, spoil me and all this type of stuff. And if they don't, that means that they're not doing their job. Well, are you doing your own job? Are you creating like an environment in your own mind, cultivating that kind of relationship with yourself in which you can feel like you're thriving and growing? And the relationship is an added bonus of what you already want to do. I think that's really important to address before you go into new relationships, is you address that relationship with yourself. And don't just go in there willy-nilly thinking that the other person's going to save you. If you've been struggling to fix a relationship with yourself and you haven't even addressed it, good luck.
Yeah. It changed everything for me in my life. All my relationships shifted when I dedicated myself to radical honesty, telling the truth. Yes, I am like this and that's okay. Or maybe yes, I am like this and it needs improving. Or no, I don't like that about you. No, I don't like it when you do that. Radical honesty. And oh man, that is a game changer with relationships. As soon as people start being radically honest, okay, it's going to bring up some conflict. And people like to avoid conflicts. It's not pleasant, but at least it's honest. And if it's honest, you can stand by it. And if you got to stand by yourself, because no one else is going to be honest for you. And if you do that, you can actually harbor and foster like an actual healthy, really awesome relationship.
Yeah. But if you don't, you have resentment, because I remember
exactly.
I remember when sometimes you wouldn't actually tell me how you actually felt about something.
I still have trouble with it.
And you'd get defensive instead.
I have trouble with expressing it, but I will at some point definitely tell you. It's just I need to be able to do it in the moment better. Like, no, I don't want to listen to you talk about your health stuff right now because it's stressing me out and I can't justify it. I'm only looking at like a YouTube video or something like that, but I'd rather do that than listen to this right now. And that seems really fucking harsh to say that, especially when you're opening up to me. But sometimes I'm just not in the mood, and I just got to be able to be honest about that sometimes. Even though it makes me sound like a bit of a cunt, sorry about the language. But if you're going to be a bit of a C word, then just be one. And that's you. And that's okay. And if they want to call you out for it, that's fine too. Like, let them. But that's just.
I don't think you're being a cunt. I think it's more cunty if you don't say anything.
I was trying to avoid the C word. It just slipped out, but because don't forget, some of these might be an American audience that will watch this. Well, and to them, this is like the worst word in the world.
When I say
we're Australian,
I just mean shitty. Yeah. Just replace it shitty in your mind. When you're, I think it would be way more shitty if you don't say anything and then pretend that I'm going to listen to that and I'm going to respond as if you did say something.
Yeah, so you opened my eyes to that. That really helped me to see that.
Because that's what you were expecting. You were expecting me to stop when you never actually communicated to me that this is stressing you out. And then you would build resentment, and then you would build resentment. And then next time I even tell you a tiny little thing, now all that stuff built up came up. Yeah. And so the tiny little thing will set you off.
Happen, I say something horrible and just like, it's like I need to get this out.
And then I'm already feeling upset and I'm like, where did that come from? I just needed some support. And it's like, well, no, there was some unsaid stuff from ages ago that never got expressed. But then once you did start expressing to me, now I'm like way more aware. And now I'm like, okay, well, if I need support, I need to be able to sort of plan it a little bit.
Yeah.
And notice, like, is there time? Is this the right space? Is this the right person? Do I really need support? Maybe I can support myself. Sometimes you just want to have a whinge. Sometimes you want to talk it out. Like I never got to assess any of that when I could always come to you for support.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you say you can always come to me for support, but that doesn't take into account at all how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And be aware that when you do come to me for support, you're also expecting, like, knowing me, I carry your shit. That's just something that I'm learning to do less of. But I will feel what you're feeling and I'll carry it like a burden. And so what you're really doing is you're loading me up with your emotional baggage. And I'm feeling now stressed. I'm now feeling affected. I'm feeling irritable. I'm feeling like heavy. And so if you keep going to someone with negative stuff, you're going to make them feel really negative. And maybe I don't want to feel negative. Maybe I want to feel positive. I want to feel like optimistic. And I want to feel excited by life. So when it happens too much in a row, that's when I start having problems. That's when I got to start drawing lines and that's up to me to do that. Because it's natural for you to want to just connect with your partner, especially when you're going through some hard stuff.
Well, this is what was happening is that there was so many unanswered questions. There were so many health issues. And I was not in a position to be like, oh, can you help me with this and can you help me with that? Because I felt like I should be able to do everything. And so I self-sacrificed. I tried to do everything and then start resenting him for not helping me, but I never even asked for help. Like, hey, especially when it comes to cleaning. I know I used to do that.
I'm not a great cleaner. Yeah, I know. I don't initiate it very often.
But if I've got some health issues going on and I would like to live in a clean home and it stresses me out not to live in a clean home, I would never even think about going and asking you could
Yeah.
you do some clean? I wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, but that's okay too.
Well, but I was already feeling so vulnerable,
Yeah.
and I was already in the place of overgiving, self-sacrificial type
I'm
personality.
not sure exactly which incident you're talking about, but
It's not one incident.
Okay.
These are like
Just in
multiple
general.
times. Yeah,
Yeah.
it used to happen all the time because I was very self-sacrificial.
Hmm.
And I would just take on, like, I know you take on my burden too when I say, but I actually take on my own burden a lot too. And but later I was like, okay, well, maybe I can lean on you a little bit, but because I was so just confused of what was going on with my body, I thought maybe talking it out might help. And so that's where I tried to just talk about it, try to come to answers or conclusions, or at least have a whinge.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't realize how much it was affecting you. But I also didn't realize how much it affected me to not be able to talk to anyone about it. And that's when I realized, like, no, this is something serious.
You know how many
I
people
need
out
to
there,
start.
How many people out there be facing this? Like maybe one partner is only one partner is going through some negative stuff, and it's a long-term negative thing. And now for the other partner who's now like their natural state is to be happy and free and liberal and doing what they're doing, but they might start to resent and look at the other partner as a negative person going through negative stuff and constantly just a negative influence in their life. If it's going on for years, like, and it can just break up relationships. It's like, I gotta get away from this person. That anything they say is negative, and it's really dragging me down. But sometimes they just need a little bit of support, and in denying that and not truly listening to them and not giving them that space and opportunity to just cathartically just get it out, you know. Sometimes it only takes a short amount of time, it's a small amount of energy, but in distancing yourself from it, they're building up more and more and more, and it gets worse. Yeah, just a listening ear sometimes can be really, really positive.
Yeah. But you just got to
A bit
time
of
those
empathy.
things. Yeah, you just gotta have a little bit more discernment. I mean, in our case, we just need a bit more discernment.
I'm not saying you're necessarily the negative one, just for the record. I'm just saying that could be an example of things happening out there for people.
Well, I was
Yeah.
negative for a while because I was in a very negative headspace and I was very confused, and everything around me was just like, I can't control anything. It's taken me a long time to realize like how to manage it on my own. And lean on you for support for some things, but if other things I cannot lean on you for support, I deliberately don't. Because I want to cultivate like a healthy relationship between us as well.
I
And
feel like we've got a really good balance.
I don't want to
now.
just show you
Yeah.
all my painful parts. Like I want to show you my
Yeah.
good happy parts too. And I've cultivated those good parts in me as well.
Yeah.
But they never get to shine because I'm like struggling with the negative shit so much. But anyway, that just like makes the theme of the relationship like all we talk about is negative stuff. But you do have to like hold yourself back to think about, is this the right topic? Is this the right time? Is this the right person? Do I really need this? And then assess based on that, not just be like, oh no, I'm suffering, I have to go to my partner because he understands me. Like. And I think that's what it was at the end of the day. I felt so understood by you that I felt like I can't go to anybody else or do anything because they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it.
Yeah. I definitely get it. Yeah. I mean.
So you're too good of a partner. I mean.
Yeah. It's. I mean, when you actually care and you actively listen. And you'll see, because I've gone through a lot of stuff in myself. I've gone through a lot of negative things in my life. I've had a bit of a traumatic past. I've gone through many layers of difficulty. And because of that, I've come to know those difficulties. And so when you're sharing it with me, I can empathetically understand it, much of it. Not all of it, obviously, it's unique to you, but like that's probably why it feels like I really understand. But I also have come out of it, which means that I had to struggle with the idea that you're choosing to be in the negative, because I know that there's a way out of it. And communicating that seems like it might be invalidating to you.
Yep.
Yeah. And that would have
It's because
triggered
you can see my potential, you can see my growth, and you're like, oh, you shouldn't be in this because you can do this yourself or whatever. But at the
So I'm always trying to solve your problems for you, and that's not good. You don't want to do that.
that's a male thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's a male
It is.
thing.
But it's not helpful. Just listening is very helpful, and sometimes they ask to give good perspective. Wait for your opportunities. Because people aren't going to change if they're not ready to.
Women specifically, they don't want you to solve their problems, even though it might sound like they want you to solve her problems. But really, they just want to feel understood and heard and listened to, and that makes them feel connected. And as soon as they feel connected, they can solve their own problems.
This is hilarious to me. Like, sometimes something really small and maybe slightly inconveniencing will happen. And then this whole emotional tirade of fucking shitstorm and emotions swell up around this small little issue.
What?
Yeah, from my perspective.
Okay.
It's like, okay, this is the small little issue that could be easily resolved, but all this emotion, now I have to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours listening to you going through all this emotion around this little issue. And it's like,
Well,
why don't we
little-
just solve this little issue here and just like resolve that and no problem. This is the male thinking. But for a female perspective, it's quite different, I'm sure.
So women know the context. We focus on a lot of on the
Everything's connected
context
to
of
everything else.
everything. Yeah.
It's web.
So that's why communication with women is slightly different than communication with males.
Yeah, we're very logical, very practical. That's kind of how we think. Women are very in touch and understand the nuances of things.
Yeah. So if I come to you and if I've got some issue going on, and you hear like, oh yeah, the screw on the ladder is broken. Just can you put a new screw on it? And then you're like, oh, okay, easy, task done.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, no, the ladder is made up of half wood and half metal, and it's placed in the wrong place, and it's not properly balanced. And I'm telling you, like, so much complex stuff that's going
Yeah,
on.
and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just move the ladder slightly to adjust it so it's balanced and it works better.
No, it just shouldn't even exist in the first place. You know.
Man, do you feel it? We can relate to this, I'm sure. Like, yeah, but you gotta have a laugh, man. Sometimes it's just good just to have a listen. Just let your girl talk now.
Sometimes don't offer solutions.
Don't fix
Even
it.
if she's begging for it, no.
You can't.
Even if she might want you to find solutions for her, the thing is, she's gonna work much better if she comes up with the solution on her own. Maybe you can say something that sparks something in her, and then she comes up with it and it's her own idea. She's much more likely to follow through on that. But if you just instantly come up with a solution, you know what's going to happen? She's going to think, why didn't I come up with that first? That must mean I'm really stupid. Or, who does he think he is about, my life telling me what to do? And then all these other things are going to come up because the solution is going to come from you, not her.
Yeah.
The solution has to come from her as well. And for her, it helps to talk it out loud. Maybe you tell me one little context or one little perspective, and I'm like, whoa, I can see it all differently now. But if you just tell me the solution, I'm like, well, why? I guess I'm just really stupid for not doing the solution this whole time.
Insecurity.
Insecurities.
Oh.
And everyone can have insecurities,
Yeah. Egoic.
Egoic.
To me, it seems egoic. Like, don't you dare tell me a simple solution when I've invested so much emotional energy.
Oh yeah, you want to hear about egoic? Okay, let's actually bring
Oh
out.
shit! What have I done? Okay.
Let's actually bring out
Okay.
something that you said that you were going to do.
Oh, okay. This seems like a repeating theme in my life. I said I was going to do something and I don't do it. I'm trying not to promise to do anything anymore. Because if I'm going to do it, I'll just do it. I don't need to say it. Because if I say it, it sets a pre-context. And if I ADD it and I forget it, oh shit, now it's going to be a resentful thing. I can't be relied on. It's this whole big thing now. So let's have a look at something I forgot. What is it?
So if you think it's egoic when someone is sharing some information with you, right? Maybe let's say you said...
No, it's not once you share information. What I was saying is it's egoic if I give you a simple solution to a problem.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I'm offended, I'm insecure, I'm going to defend myself, I hate you for saying it. It's coming from a place of ego, which is that
Just saying there's like the sense of I am pride.
Okay, you
Yeah.
do this as well.
I'm sure I do.
You tell me, I want to lose weight.
Yeah, I have been. Sorry. This is my natural defense. And it's true though.
You
I
are
have been
taking
losing
defense,
weight.
but I haven't even
Sorry.
brought up the...
I know. I have been. You haven't even started. Communication. Yes. Please. I'm all ears.
So if you say you want the end result,
Yes.
and then once you check your weight, maybe you didn't achieve the result.
Okay.
And I tell you, hey, by the way, these are some...
Hmm.
And then the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, I see you actively not implementing the solutions. Like active, not just not doing it, but actively not doing it. Actually going against the grain to overly do something that you don't even normally do, but now you're doing the opposite of it just because I said that this is the solution. That is egoic, in my opinion.
Oh, sorry. No, I actually have obsessive defiance disorder as well. Have you heard this term?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, my cousin, nephew, he was diagnosed with obsessive defiance disorder. Now, I think this is the most bullshit psychological term I've ever heard of my entire life.
So you just claimed it.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Just claimed it to get out of a point that I was trying
Look,
to make.
sometimes
that you are also egoic and
You
defensive.
do
when it
throw
comes to
some
things.
good advice my way.
And
But how you present it would definitely affect how I'm going to respond to it, because I don't like being told what to do, and this is my ego at play.
so, again, I'm so glad that you finally
But if
admitted
you-
that you are being egoic.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's not a male and female thing necessarily. It's anyone can do it in
Everyone
relationships.
has a tendency towards egoism, but men and women tend to express it differently. That's all. I have my expression, you have yours, and it's going to piss each other off when it happens, but it happens.
Communication in relationships.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I'm sure you guys can see how we kind of talk to each other. We are saying a lot of clear information to one another. And that's something that we never used to do very well. So like if you had a problem, you're really good at articulating why you have that problem. And that's something that you've developed as a skill. Same with me. We're both really good at articulating. If you go to couples therapy, they teach this. They teach speak with I feel statements. Because what they're doing is they're training the couples to start to be very honest with the way that they talk to each other. So there's way more clarity, and that usually clears up 90% of the fights.
Yeah. Yeah, because they say stuff like, well, you did this and you did that, and that made me feel blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Instead of, I was already in my luteal phase, and I had a bad sleep last night, and I was, like, hungry, and then I was hangry, and then you said this, and now I'm over the edge.
Yeah.
And you didn't take it into account that I was going to be like that, and you should know that I'm in my luteal phase right now. You know, how could you not know?
And when I said this was because you told me you would do this, and then you said this to me, and this happened yesterday, and so it's a repeating thing, and you ignored what I said earlier, so that's why I said that. You know, and then you start to get this clear picture of what's going on. It's like, oh, we're both ridiculous. And that's a good place to be, actually. When you realize, like, you know, sometimes in relationships you're both being ridiculous. And
Yeah.
you can have a good laugh about it. You know, when
It's
you
good
get
to
tired.
not blame the other person and immediately assume negative intentions. That one
that's a
was
big one.
hard for me
Yeah.
to admit because I actually have been around so many people who did have negative intentions. Now, they might have those intentions for a different reason, like cultural norms, again, come to mind. Remember, I'm from a third world country. I moved here at the age of 13, but pretty much my entire childhood, I spent around, family members where domestic violence is not something of so much of a taboo, like it is in Australia. You know, women don't really seek help for that kind of stuff. They just instantly feel trapped And then what happens to the children and everybody else in the family? They're just by proxy receiving that abuse without even actively participating in it. And so, yeah, like my idea of relationships was quite different, and it was fair for me to assume negative intentions from other people because that's how it was. But going into the current relationship, I can't continue to assume you have negative intentions
Yeah.
when you clearly don't. But because I was previously trained by my own experience, that's just what ended up being.
Man, it's taken years of being there consistently for you and giving active love and active support to help give you that feeling of safety, I've noticed, for you to like kind of open up and challenge that part of yourself. Sometimes it takes a long time to sort of shift some
Well,
of
but
these.
the thing is, it's not like it was your job to do anyway.
It wasn't, but it's my job, so to speak, to love, to be consistent, and to like be kind of like a grounding energy influence in the relationship. And that over time shows you I am safe.
It did help, but then you know how we said that it went into overdrive where I would come to you every single time I had a problem.
Yeah.
It's only now that I'm able to completely accept that this is like my responsibility.
Mhm.
I mean, I literally did a meditation yesterday where it's called, well, I made it up. It's an intuitive meditation I did, which is about becoming your own primary caretaker. And what I realized is there's a lot of different parts of me. There's some parts of me that are really scared. There's some parts of me that are very like dictating. There's other parts of me that are, there's an inner child, very vulnerable. There's also the mother part of me. There's the inner father part of me as well. But I was waiting for the actual father to tell me something, or the actual mother to tell me something before I can feel calm, or the actual like inner child in me that needs to feel safe. But when I became my primary caretaker, I realized that I am the one who's going to be taking care of all of my parts. I'm taking responsibility to nurture these parts and to make sure that they're in a harmonious relationship within themselves. And if other people can help me with that, that's really great. That's a bonus. But most of the time it's the opposite. We're reliant in making everybody else the primary caretaker. And if anybody else can't do it, then maybe we might do it for ourselves, maybe.
Mhm.
Like overcompensating or something. But it needs to start from yourself first, that I'm here for myself first, and then someone else can help me in that journey. And so even though you were literally like doing the right thing,
Yeah.
it did slow my growth, because if you had rejected it earlier and spoke your truth earlier, I would have been on this journey earlier, maybe.
Well, I'm on a journey too.
Yeah.
So you get, most relationships tend to be two damaged people coming together. And, you know, sometimes they're going to hold each other back. Sometimes they're going to help each other. But
that sounds so negative. That just
it's not. Everyone
damage people.
Well,
I don't like that perspective.
I know you
very
don't like that
much.
perspective. It's not a pleasant perspective, but it's true. We all
Damaged is so.
When I say damaged, like maybe that means something to you and different to me. When I look at it from as a shadow coach perspective, what I'm talking about is people carrying inherent pains or traumas or hurts or bad memories or self-limiting beliefs. This is kind of like, damage is just a really convenient term, but really you could call it shadows. You could call it just negative self-talk, limiting perspective. You know, like they're not completely real with themselves. They're not in a state of wholeness. Very few people tend to be in a state of wholeness. It takes a lot of work and a lot of introspection to actually get to wholeness. It isn't something that comes naturally to people, and it's outside of our control. A lot of times when we're children, even our parents innocently telling us, no, don't do that, you know, and we disconnect emotionally parts of ourselves from ourselves. We go, oh, well, that's a threat to my survival to express that part of myself. So now I'm going to shut it down and suppress it. And this is part of the quote damage. This is like the formation of a sort of incomplete version of yourself. And so we're all wandering around slightly incomplete, looking for other people to complete this part of ourselves so that we can feel whole again. But when we find that person also feels incomplete and they're looking for something and we're kind of bouncing off each other, we're not fully like expressing ourselves in a very healthy way. We're going to have to go through a growth period. We're going to have to go through a period of challenging each other. That's why most relationships just kind of fall apart. But if you stick with it, if you stick to radical honesty and you understand that many of the things that piss you off about your partner are actually things that you carry inside of you. And if you start to see that annoys me about her because I carry it in me, because I hate that part of myself, then now we're starting to get into a transformative relationship. And that's amazingly powerful.
Most of the time when you get challenged in a relationship and you're not ready, you just blame the other person, block them, move on.
Yeah.
But really what you've done is just stopped your own growth. Because that challenge is actually a blessing in disguise. The challenge is actually showing you something that you could be overcoming right now.
Oh, big time.
And so, if you choose to not accept the challenge and you blame the other person for bringing up the challenge in the first place, you never have to face it.
That's why a lot of relationships tend to be superficial, because they don't want to face all this. They don't want to face themselves. They don't want to actually look at any of the uncomfortable parts of themselves. And so anyone who reminds them of the uncomfortable parts of themselves, typically they give them the boot. And they dance around. This is where hookup culture sort of thrives. This is why some of these hookup like websites and apps are doing so well, is because everyone's trying to avoid themselves, and they made it so bloody convenient. We're starting to see a change in culture though.
Yeah.
People are kind of looking at more traditional relationships again, which
Yeah.
is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because that means that humanity itself is going to get healthy again.
I think, over time, people are trying to understand how to have healthy relationships, but the truth is, the fact of the matter is we're having children later and later and later in life. We're getting together later in life. We're losing virginity later in life.
Yeah.
As a species, as a human, the self-hating energy is way too strong. And it gets promoted in the media, which I have a huge problem with. That humans are a virus on Earth, and there's too many people in the world right now. Humans are like just a disease or a cancer on the Earth, and then so a lot of women, they're going child free, and they're thinking that they're being environmentally friendly and they're doing the world a favor. No, you're going against your biological instincts. And you're denying your natural expression, and it's a form of suppression, and it's creating a shadow, right?
Yeah. So, like, when men and women get to a certain age and they realize that they haven't had any children, nothing to carry their legacy, there's a kind of a bitterness that sinks in. And that bitterness can never be shaken. And it's something that you don't want to carry. Like, having children is one of the biggest blessings and the most wonderful, miraculous things that you can do.
Yeah, and neither of us have children, by the way.
We've tried. We've been trying, but sometimes biological factors just get involved, and you can't help that, and that's okay. Like, at least it's not something that you chose for yourself, and then you look back at your choices with deep regret. That's where that bitterness really comes from.
There's also people who have had children and are still bitter.
That's true.
They're still bitter because their children don't treat them right, because you probably didn't raise them right. Or, you only had children because you're trying to save the marriage, but never got saved anyway. So now you resent the children. And all this type of stuff, like the bitterness doesn't stop just because you didn't have children.
But there's definitely, what I was identifying was there is a unique bitterness to being childless.
Yeah, but what's that bitterness? Who are you bitter against? Who are you going to blame for that?
Well, sometimes when you get older, and your social circles might fall apart a little bit, and everyone's sort of coupled off and had their own kids, and they're all doing their own thing, and you're no longer in party mode, you're no longer in career mode. Maybe your career's you've been doing it for 35 years and you're not getting the satisfaction you used to. And now, that childlessness, you realize how important it actually was, because there's something that was there for you, to get deeper in touch with yourself, deeper in touch with love of the world and connectivity with society, because the children are your gateway to connectivity. Without that, you're just it's like a closed door. and you're just
Mm.
looking at the closed door, going, "Oh, the door never opened again. I missed out. What could have been?"
Unfortunately, yeah, these women with a child-free attitude. There's also men who have voluntarily accepted that all women want is one thing, and so I don't want to be part of that, and so they voluntarily leave the dating pool, and they think they're doing the right thing.
Oh, the MGTOWs?
Or
you mean?
yeah, not just that, but there's also people out there who think, well, I'm too broken and I'm too unhealed to
Right.
even approach the dating market.
Beta. Yeah, no, this is a real thing. It's a real issue. We used to have this thing called marriage culture. Marriage culture was in Australia. It was very prominent all the way up to the 80s. Basically, men and women would get married, even if women would generally accept a less than optimal male. Because he's got a job, he's consistent, and getting married, there's a social pressure to get married. And there's obviously limited numbers of males. So women would marry men like they view them slightly beneath them or not quite, up to the standard that they idealize. And that was okay. And everyone was having kids and getting married. And we had a very strong cohesion in society because of that. It was actually a foundation of Western society. So when the idea of marriage culture fell apart, when it became socially acceptable to get divorces or even to stay single, and there wasn't any social pressure on that, now we've sort of gotten to a point where the birth rates have collapsed, and we're starting to see, even the young culture's not getting together.
So you think women's standards are just too high now?
Well, it's natural for women to have very high standards. It's normal.
But women used to compromise a lot more.
Women want to have the best, most alpha breeding males.
So women are less
sense.
Compromising now. That's the problem. That's the reason behind this whole
collapse.
Is
Absolutely.
women are not compromising like they used to anymore.
And it's the rise of neo-feminism. Women haven't accepted that level of sacrifice. Where men's sacrifice used to be very clear-cut. I will spend 5 or 6 days a week working my ass off to provide for my family, and a lot of times they do it very happily because they had a purpose in their life.
Well, they could now. Now they can't do that.
Yeah,
one person's income is not going to support a household anymore.
Yeah.
So woman is not looking for a provider anymore because she can't. Those things don't exist.
Yeah.
She's looking for a mate. She's looking for companionship.
Yeah.
And so her standards are never going to go high. But if she's looking for provider, I mean, obviously the standards are going to be high because he has to be able to provide, but she would willingly accept the role of, as long as that's provided for, I'm going to, be the woman of the household, and what they say, a woman's role is in the home, and stuff like that, because women are really good homemakers. They're able to connect people and family and everything.
Not just homemakers, but usually it's women who tied together the social circles as well. They used to keep in touch with the neighbors. They were ones who were community builders. Where the men had obviously connections and stuff as well. And they're more than happy to get together their mates for a drink and stuff, but women really solidified those social connections. And that's where their real power was. People think of trad wives and they think, oh, they're isolated in a home, looking after kids, and that's all they are. No. Trad wives used to be more social than the men, because the men were so busy working, they didn't really have time to socialize. The women were the ones socializing and creating that network and the groups and the communities.
And now all women do is bitch and moan.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you bitch and moan.
You as well. You sometimes
I love a good moan. Yeah.
It just happened the other day, and I was like, "What do you mean? Why? That doesn't make any sense." And you're like, "I'm just having a win.
I'm just getting it out. Let me have a friggin' whinge without trying to correct me."
And I was like, "But this is the solution. Here you go. This is the solution."
Oh, touche. Yeah. Well, we're all guilty of it.
I don't see many men who talk about being child free though. They're more just like, I'm not even going to enter the dating pool.
A lot of men are terrified.
of having kids, a lot of us feel like we're just big kids ourselves. You know, we don't feel like, oh, well, you know, I viewed my father as this big, masculine, strong, together, has it all, like, organized person. And to me, I still feel like the child. Like, I don't feel like I'm in that place where I have it all together. And, you know, some men do, of course.
It turns out they didn't have it together at all.
They didn't. They were just vulnerable. They were just big kids too, you know, and that's just how it is. But because I got raised where a lot of that was hidden from me, the vulnerabilities and just, I guess, humanness of my parents. Because like my father, I didn't have a father. Like he abandoned me when I was very young, and that was it. And he won't talk to me still. That hurt for a long time. It took me 40 years of pain to actually go through because of that man. And he doesn't give a shit. And I don't understand why. If I had a kid, there's no way in hell I'd abandon them. But maybe I say that, and maybe the same thing happens, and maybe I would.
Well, because the thing is, like, we think that our parents owe us all this stuff. They owe us a healthy childhood. They owe us a healthy relationship. Do they really owe us anything? All they did was made a decision one night to have sex, and now they have this responsibility for the rest of their lives. Maybe they don't want to accept it. Maybe they don't want to, like, accept the consequences of it.
I think there's two types of men that exist from two existing sort of tribes in the world. This is a personal theory.
Okay.
I base this on nothing. This is not scientific. But I believe that there's two types of human beings. One were nomadic tribes that used to wander a lot, and they didn't have a particular homeland. And other types were ones that lived in very rich, fruitful areas, and they settled, and they stayed in the same place because there's plenty of food and plenty of resources, and they didn't need to go anywhere. That type of tribe developed to be very socially cohesive, and everyone kind of like formulates their societies around the children. So everyone co-raises the children, everyone's very connected. But the ones who are nomadic, a lot of those men who are nomadic would go to connect to those different hubs, different tribes, and they would breed with the women and they'd move on. And they didn't stick around to raise the children. So I think that there's some men in the world who are nomadic, and some people who are like inherently like, you know, part of a village. And that's the kind of instinct that plays into society now.
That's a theory.
Yeah.
It's definitely a theory.
It's an idea. Because that's the only rational way I could come up with the fact that a father whose son is trying to connect with him and wants to open himself to him and like, let's connect, and to say, no, I don't want you. I don't want to connect to you. Like, that to me goes against every instinct in me. And I don't understand that. There's no way for me to relate to that. And yeah. So that shaped my view on things when I was a child, and it still shapes it a little bit as an adult. I'm trying to understand that mentality. But I found that during the course of our relationship, the stuff that we've been going through together, the communication, the facing of each other's traumas and pains and everything, and what I've uncovered in myself is a very healthy and strong masculine energy. And I realized that I don't need him to be complete. I found it in myself. I'm my father. And I have that there. And just like I feel like you're coming into that strength of your divine feminine energy, and you're becoming complete in it too. I see it. You're thriving. It's like you've gotten in touch with your own inner mother energy.
Inner father, inner mother, inner child, inner protector, inner exile, all of those parts.
Yeah.
I'm taking responsibility for all of them. I'm the primary caretaker of all of them now. So yeah, there's many parts, and they're constantly evolving and transforming as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an amazing thing. So should we leave it at that?
I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's our first live. I think it went really well. If you have any questions for future lives, let us know in the comments below. We'd be happy to address them and answer them. We're thinking of doing a live every Tuesday, Australian Standard Time, in the morning, right? Sometime.
Yeah, we're thinking Tuesdays, like say
maybe in the afternoons when people get home from work.
Tuesdays, mornings, afternoons. Keep up to date on our Facebook page. Keep up to date on our YouTube channel. And follow us there. Leave us a comment. We're just trying to grow right now. So every single engagement helps. And it helps for more people to see this. So if you found any benefit from this, I would love for you guys to share it and get it out to more people. Because
Absolutely.
ultimately what we want to do is, with Light Shadow School, it's about the light side and the shadow side. We're not trying to paint a picture of like, oh yeah, relationships are really, really great and they're healthy and they're like really good, or relationships are all bad. We're trying to see why they're good and why they can be challenging as well. So we're going to address both sides of it. So give us all your questions. Let us know what future topics you want us to talk about. And yeah, we're really excited to be starting this project together.
Absolutely, this is very exciting, and who knows where this is going to go. It's been awesome doing this podcast, and normally we kind of work on our own businesses and we do this separately, so this is a new experience. And
but behind the scenes, we are having these conversations on the daily.
Regularly. Like we have done so much work on ourselves. It's crazy. So I'd love to see couples coming in here or people with relationship questions, because like we might actually be able to genuinely help you out, and that's the goal.
Yeah. Free couples counseling. Or not just for couples, but any relationships you have. Relationship with yourself, relationship with others, family, friends, friendships, any kinds of relationships. Knowing like what part you play in the relationship, and yeah, how it's a synergy of two different people.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, till next time, we'll see you then. And remember, Tuesday afternoon we're gonna be going live. And till then.